Same room, same lighting, same background noise. One person is quietly falling apart. The person next to them hasn't noticed a thing. That's not a personality quirk. It's a measurable difference in how their brain is wired. Psychologists have a name for it: sensory processing sensitivity. About 20% of people are built this way. And here's the part almost nobody tells you. These brains don't just suffer more. In the right environment, they outperform everyone else in the room. Researcher Elaine summed up this trait in 4 letters: DOES. The D stands for depth of processing. A highly sensitive brain doesn't just receive information, it runs it through extra passes in the background, comparing it against everything it already knows. Even a small decision can take longer, because the brain is quietly weighing outcomes nobody asked it to weigh. That's usually why the quietest person in a meeting is doing the most thinking. The O stands for overstimulation. Try this. Picture 2 hours in a crowded mall. Music, conversations, lights, smells, all hitting at once. Most people walk out tired. A highly sensitive brain walks out completely drained. That's not weakness. That brain processed far more of that environment than the one next to it, and it's paying the energy cost for it. If this is making sense so far, subscribe. The actual brain scan is coming up next. The E stands for emotional reactivity. Watch a friend tear up telling a story, and a highly sensitive person's eyes well up too, as if it's happening to them. That's not being dramatic. Their empathy circuitry is simply running hotter than average. The S stands for sensing the subtle. Reading someone's mood the second they walk into a room, catching a tone shift nobody else registered. For this brain, that's just a daily reflex. A shift in lighting in a photo, a single off note in a song, a hesitation buried in a sentence. None of it slips past. Let's clear up a common misconception here. Being highly sensitive doesn't mean being introverted. By Aron's own data, about 30% of highly sensitive people are actually extroverts. The loudest, most energetic person at the party might be processing far more than they're letting on. One more thing worth saying clearly. This isn't a diagnosis, and it's not on any disorder checklist. It's an inherited temperament trait, the same category as height or eye color. Try a quick self-check. Do bright lights, strong smells, rough fabric, or a nearby siren bother you noticeably more than they seem to bother other people? Do you get so rattled performing in front of someone watching or grading you that you do worse than you normally would? If you answered yes to both, you're probably somewhere in that 20%. So is this just a feeling, or is the brain actually different? In 2014, researcher Bianca Acevedo and her team put highly sensitive people in an MRI. While looking at photos of a partner's happy or sad face, their insula, cingulate cortex, and mirror neuron regions lit up far more strongly than everyone else's. Those are the regions that handle awareness, empathy, and touch. A separate 2022 study found the same gap from something as small as a single touch on the skin. These people aren't imagining that they feel more. Their brain is measurably doing more work. But here's the part that actually surprised researchers. This split isn't unique to humans either. Even in fruit flies, researchers have found individuals within the same species that react strongly to their environment, right alongside others that barely respond at all. Evolution doesn't bet on one strategy. It keeps both the responsive and the steady types around at once, so no matter what the environment throws at the species, some part of it survives. In 2018, a research team stopped treating sensitivity as one sliding scale and split it into 3 groups: dandelions, tulips, and orchids. Dandelions are 29% of people. They grow the same no matter where you plant them, barely affected by their surroundings. Tulips are 40%, somewhere in the middle. Orchids are 31%, the most sensitive group, the ones most shaped by their environment. And the orchid name isn't just poetic. Plant an orchid in bad soil and it wilts fast, but give it the right light and care and it outblooms every other flower in the room. Because a highly sensitive brain isn't only more damaged by a bad environment. Psychologist Jay Belsky's 2007 differential susceptibility theory found the same brain thrives more than average in a good one: a supportive family, a patient teacher, a calm workplace. The same sensitivity that made someone struggle in a harsh environment can push them further ahead than everyone else in a kind one. This trait isn't a flaw. It's a strategy that raises both the risk and the reward. There's an actual gene behind this. People carrying the short version of the serotonin transporter gene are more affected by their environment, for better and for worse, than people with the long version. This isn't just a feeling or a personality read. It's written into DNA, and that has a real practical consequence. Belsky's own research found that a highly sensitive child raised in a harsh environment struggles more than average, but the same child raised by patient, supportive parents does better than average. So a teacher, a parent, or a manager making an environment a little calmer isn't a small kindness for a sensitive person. It's a genuinely large difference. Go back to that person in the room who couldn't handle the lighting. They might also be the one who thinks the deepest, feels the most for other people, and one day becomes the best teacher in the building. Being sensitive isn't a weakness. It's a different setting, and in the right conditions, a real advantage. Are you the one who's wiped out after a crowded room, or read someone's mood before they say a word? Tell me in the comments. You might be an orchid. Subscribe for the rest of the Body Secrets series.